Governance throughout the world takes place using some form of representative democratic process, via a parliamentary body that makes decisions in accordance with the wishes of the constituency they represent. Or at least that is ideally how governance would take place. Of course, as previously discussed in earlier videos, these governments exist within a capitalist economic structure that is made up of firms. Representation within the government is mostly dominated by the interests of those firms primarily, and the interests of the people come in as a secondary priority. This leads to governments transforming from representatives of the people that make up their respective societies into tools that facilitate trade and commerce and maximize the growth of industry instead. This is the same across all governments, from the American Republic to the Chinese Communist Party to Russia's autocratic oligarchy. All governments existing within the standard market model eventually become tools of industry as opposed to representatives of people. But what if the economic model itself changes? What if, instead of a capitalist market model, it became a resource-based model, an open-source egalitarian system of resource distribution? What would happen to the governance systems? How would these systems operate? Who would make the decisions? And what would the decisions be based on? Most governance systems used in modern-day planned communities are usually based on some facsimile of normative, representative, liberal democracy, such as the use of democratically elected persons and tools such as Robert's Rules, as well as more avant-garde, science-centric tools such as sociocracy, combined with a scientific empirical process for arriving at decisions. I believe that governments of the future, to the extent that they would even be comprised of people, will probably relegate decision-making to AI, which can make the best possible decisions to maximize public health based on a plethora of community data, ecological data, and various other metrics that allow it to always concoct the best possible policy to meet the needs of society. However, in the interim, before such systems can be implemented, there will be a myriad of different trials and errors in the creation of governance models. Some will last, others will fail. And through a process of natural selection of ideas, the most efficient models will remain. Some communities may decide to implement a sociocracy-based model that is made up of various circles, technical groups, that make up decisions within a limited operational scope. For example, a healthcare circle made up of doctors, nurses, and other healthcare professionals and experts who make decisions using a democratic process to arrive at the best possible policies to maximize the health of the community with regards to healthcare. And then that circle's conclusions are elevated to a greater circle which implements their will. Or other communities may decide on a less involved system where decision-making authority is relegated to a single community exemplar, who is democratically elected to serve a term of office. The possibilities are endless. Ultimately, as long as the system of governance exists to benefit the community, and not just a small segment of it, whatever governance process is used should yield a positive pro-social result. In a well-trained group, with good facilitation, using consensus systems like sociocracy can elevate the consciousness of a group, and not function simply as a decision-making technique, but a philosophy of inclusion, drawing out the best ideas, insights, and wisdom from all of its members and allowing its members to be the best that they can be. What is important is for the governed to have a shared purpose and to be equals in their representation. As previously discussed, in the standard market-based model, the real authority rests with the corporatocracy. Even if the majority of people within society decide on a particular decision, the decision will never be made into policy if it puts at risk the profits of the corporatocracy. A system based on resource-based economics would always yield a more representative government, regardless of the structure of that government, whether it's AI-based, if it ran by people, Regardless of whether it is a technocracy or a direct democracy, all forms would be equally concerned with the maximizing of public health as opposed to the profits of the firm. In future videos, I would like to discuss some of these alternative governance models, particularly the use of sociocracy in managing and governing small planned communities. After looking through so many ideas of planned communities, some of which have already been implemented, and learning more about the use of Sociocracy 3.0, which I shall leave a link to in the description of this video, I think there is a great deal of similarity between all of these governance ideologies. Most of them are very science-based, seek to create consensus, and inspire collaboration as opposed to competition. And whatever we ultimately transition into will most certainly follow the same train of thought. A science-based process that is democratic and egalitarian, seeking to promote collaboration and social growth while ensuring a wholesome, eco-centric economy.